position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You can keep Johnson in Washington, D.C., or you can send him back to his Texas cotton patch. You're the one who sent Kennedy to Washington. You're the one who put the present Democratic administration in Washington, D.C. The whites were evenly divided. It was the fact that you threw 80% of your votes behind the Democrats that put the Democrats in the White House. When you see this, you can see that the Negro vote is the key factor. And despite the fact that you are in a position to be the determining factor, what do you get out of it? The Democrats have been in Washington, D.C. only because of the Negro vote. They've been down there 4 years. And all other legislation they wanted to bring up, they brought it up and gotten it out of the way, and now they bring up you. And now they bring up you. You put them first and they put you last. Because you're a chump. A political chump. Anytime you throw your weight behind a political party that controls 2/3 of the government, and that party can't keep the promise that it made to you during election time, and you are dumb enough to walk around continuing to identify yourself with that party, you're not only a chump, but you're a traitor to your race.
God damn. Murdering. The people think RBN's too mean. He said you're not only a chump, you're a traitor to your race.
They try and pass the buck to the Dixiecrats. Now, back during the days when you were blind, deaf, and dumb, ignorant, politically immature, naturally you went along with that. But today, as your eyes come open and you develop political maturity, you're able to see and think for yourself. And you can see that a Dixiecrat is nothing but a Democrat in disguise.
As you guys see, this is why we bring that very similar fire. There are a lot of people who don't like our tone, CJ. They think we're too mean. Do you guys hear what Malcolm X said decades ago? Decades ago. And this is the Americanization of the Negro. This is what John Braca, this is what we talk about all the time. How they want to soften black political voices. RBN said, no, thank you. No, thank you. We know how our revolutionary leaders speak. We know the passion they had in disavowing, supporting our oppressors. Malcolm X said you're a traitor to your race if you support the Democratic Party. How you guys?
We're way nicer than that. We're way nicer than that.
Nicer. and we are cut out of the club because we're considered uncivil. What will Malcolm X say about Nina Turner, who tried to be part of the Democratic Party? What will Malcolm X say about Cory Bush?
Barack Obama?
Like, I don't even have to go that far. That's the crazy part. Right? The crazy part is I don't even have to go that far. I can say Cory Bush, someone that many dumb dumbs on the progressive left think they think she's still a good guy. But look at the heat that Malcolm X will have on her.
My bad, I spelled his name wrong.
Was militantly against these capitalists and against imperialism. Meanwhile, they think you can be weak on imperialism and get away with it as long as you talk about stuff that you benefit from by Medicare fraud and all that matters. It would have been great if just for once we could have kept one of our revolutionary leaders. God forbid. Right. You guys know if Malcolm X lived to be as long as Henry Kissinger, we would still have, if Malcolm X lived as long as Henry Kissinger did, we would still have him today. Can you guys? The idea of Malcolm X being among us is like, what? That's fancy talk, right? Like, what will Malcolm X think? Cory Bush? Right. That is a possibility if our black leaders was allowed to live as long as white imperialist scumbags like Henry Kissinger, who has the best healthcare in the history of humanity. Dick Cheney in his tender age of 80 get a new heart. Meanwhile, heart disease is the silent killer among Black Americans. And if you speak up against the government, your life expectancy is around 40. MLK, Malcolm X, Fred Hampton, he died in his 20s. Meanwhile, Cory Bush, Jamal Bowman, Nigga, we are.
You see this nonsense with him and Marjorie Taylor Greene yesterday.
We got people. They love us. They love us, and Corey Bush and Jamal Bowman love the fact that they are loved by the establishment.
And Nick,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, to your point earlier when you were saying the way that Malcolm X speaks, this is actually, Nick, the person who I model how I talk.
Yeah,
is Malcolm X.
When we say we
agitator, now you see the
leftist. Malcolm X.
You hear the language though that he uses. You see, like, some language people be like, "Oh, that's a little bit too much." That's intentional. That's what I do. I literally model my language after him because he was the person who turned me to radicalism, just being radical before my even opening to the Democratic Party. It was him, and I was a teenager, or maybe I was younger than that. When I saw Malcolm X movie, which is my favorite movie all time by Spike Lee, that literally changed my life. That literally, I walked into that movie and walked out a completely different person, the person that you see today. I walked into that movie. First off, when I saw it, I was already sort of into film, and that's sort of my background. So, I'm like looking at it more like somatically, like this is an incredible somatic movie. Malcolm X, Denzel Washington does this. I think this is his best work he's ever done. Did he lost the Oscars? That was the last time I watched the Oscars, when he lost the Oscar for this movie.
Yeah,
that was literally I was like, this is some bullshit, and I was like, I'm good. I was like, I'm good. I haven't watched the Oscars since then. But the funny story, it's kind of funny. I went in there, I'm young. I went there by myself. This is how much I wanted to see this movie. And again, I'm not an adult. I'm a kid, and I go to this movie to see this by myself. And my dad, who was like the radical of the family, rest in peace, my dad, he was the one that kind of had me even being interested in stuff like that. So when I go see this movie, Nick, you don't understand, man. I was literally crying in that movie in certain parts. I was like, this is amazing right here. But the funny part, a knee-jerk reaction I had, which is funny. I came out of there. Any white person that said anything to me, I was like, man, you better shut up. I just saw Malcolm X, man. I know what the fuck's going on around this place, man. You better not say nothing to me. So every time I tell that story, it's so funny because when I look back, I really was thinking that in my head, like, man, I know what the fuck's going on, man. You ain't fooling me with none of this shit no more. Yeah. And that was what really changed me and made me radical. And that's why I kind of modeled like how I watch a lot of his content. So, and I think that's just how I picked up just the way that he talks, just, using the words that people don't want to use without using profanity necessarily, but you going and using those words, saying warmonger in polite company. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's been a shock. RBN has been a shock to the white liberals, and there are people who are among the group of white liberals Malcolm X is talking about, but they don't like to group them. So I'm talking about the Bernie Sanders progressive left.
Yeah,
you're not talking about.
I hear you.
Biden. Biden is the enemy that we're supposed to be opposing in the first place. It's the people who pretend to be the allies, the foxes, and then they support arming Nazis in Ukraine. Then they support expanding the Capitol Police. Then they vote for increased DHS funding. Like these are the people that Malcolm X talked about. And people say, "Oh my God, why are you guys so focused? Why you guys always criticize Bernie? Why you criticize the squad? Why you criticize these progressives all the time?" I'm gonna show you guys how I learned of Malcolm X. I actually still to this day haven't seen the movie. I haven't seen.
It'll be powerful for you if you see it. It'll be powerful for you if you see it. Yeah.
I haven't seen the Fred Hampton movie either yet. I discovered them just by watching these clips, and then hearing people like Dr. Cornel West. I told you guys many times that I used to watch Cornel West spar with these liberals who liked Obama back in the day. So I used to hear him talk about Malcolm X and many other people outside. And I broke this down many times before. I'm a college dropout. Academia could not interest me. It did not interest me at all. I was just going through the motions. I was a B student in high school. Did not give a fuck. Did not give a fuck about school. It did not interest me, and I know exactly why now, because essentially we're propaganda bullshit. Then once I learned real history, I told you guys the story before. I had a college course. And it's a shame I don't remember this professor. It was like the first real class. I was like 20 years old. TJ, 20 years old. First real class I ever had before on any fucking thing.
20 years old.
Actually taught me shit. Like, and we learned real history. And after that class, I started looking at shit. I was like, all right, they lied to me about a lot of shit. They lied to me about a lot of shit. So I started looking into more people. I explained to you guys before. The people that think we have critical race theory in school are the dumbest people in politics. Because when I grew up, they taught us that MLK was this moderate, liberal-friendly guy. And then Malcolm X, he was the bad one. Malcolm X was the bad one. His ideas was bad. Don't follow his direction. MLK was the good guy. Malcolm X was the bad guy. And that showed because MLK tactics works. Malcolm X tactics do not work. This is what we were drilled into my head. And many black people or anyone around my age that went through the same education process will tell you the same thing. MLK good. He was a nice little liberal. Malcolm X bad. He was too radical. For one, in order to pull this off, they had to whitewash the shit out of MLK.
Right.
Whitewash the shit out of MLK. MLK and Malcolm X had public disagreements and disputes. And near the end of Malcolm X's life, the last few years of his organizing, he was like, I agree more with Brother Malcolm now. He actually regretted a lot of the toxic positivity that he used to spread. Okay, he's like, man, I realized, and I'm gonna see if I can find some quotes on this. I realized that almost being over positive misled people on the challenges that we are facing, and that's when he got more of a militant mindset. He formed the Rainbow Coalition, started speaking out against the Vietnam War, and liberals pretend that Malcolm that he was this guy that would just telling black people to calm down, promoting peace, asking for rights. Liberals liked him. He was hated by 75% of the country, despised by white America. And what also a lot of people don't talk about are black American coons. There was a lot of black conservatives that are like, man, it's still right school. It's going too damn far. Like, how there was a ton of those people. Malcolm, he didn't have the consensus the same way we don't today.
Right.
When you're a black radical, you're looking at the insanity of our society, and then people who like the society is like, you guys are going too far.
Yeah.
So when I see people say that to us, CJ, I'm like, we follow the steps of our revolutionary leader. The same shit when they said we're too angry, that we're not civil enough, that we're too radical and we are too harsh on our empire in the United States. There are people that say, there are people on Twitter you say every once in a while, they say, oh, socialism made his politics, his only politics is complaining about America. Yes, because that's very base and very and that's the same thing that I'm okay with. And
they have their handprints on so much of the problems of the world, if not all. Go ahead.
I just want to share this because I was.
Oh yeah, go ahead, and then I'll put that up. It's just a quick little background of him.
Yeah, I was prefacing this. I guess my preface was a little too long. But when people say that we are too mean, in the language I use, talk about Bernie Sanders, Marianne Williamson, and a few others. Malcolm X is not talking about Joe Biden here.
There are many whites who are trying to solve the problem, but you never see them going under the label of liberals. That white person that you see calling himself a liberal is the most dangerous thing in the entire Western Hemisphere. He's the most deceitful. He's like a fox, and a fox is always more dangerous in the forest than the wolf. You can see the wolf coming. You know what he's up to, but the fox will fool you. He comes at you with his mouth shaped in such a way that even though you see his teeth, you think he's smiling. And
That describes literally what's going on today.
Right.
where you have white liberals, Bernie Sanders, Marianne Williamson, gaslighting people into funding Nazis in Ukraine. You have Bernie Sanders endorsing Jim Crow Joe, being a fox, trying to mislead people, using tricks. Nigga, if you're paying attention, you see everything Joe Biden is doing. You see everything Democrats are doing. Like, okay, they're your enemies. Meanwhile, here come the foxes. Here comes the anti-Kasparians. Here comes Sam Cedar. Oh, there's foxes like a motherfucker. Man, Joe Biden not as bad as you think, man. Those people that tell you that Jim Crow Joe is bad, they're right wingers. They're grifters. Don't listen to them. Don't believe your eyes. Don't believe your ears. You're not seeing the policy decisions Democrats are making. That's what the foxes do. And that's why we have our anger towards these people and our criticisms of these people that will not be silenced and will not be muted. But CJ Pasty, there are a lot Malcolm X to cover. That's one. That's one that all the white social democrats need to watch.
Brush up on exactly.
Yeah.
That's all. That is absolutely true. This video is just a short little 1-minute video. Kind of got some baby pictures of him here and birth and all that stuff. It just kind of talks about him just as a tribute.
Malcolm X, born as Malcolm Little on this day, May the 19th, back in 1925. Born into a revolutionary, black nationalist, pan-Africanist, black militant family, he goes on to become a global leader against white supremacy and colonialism, uniting and learning from the forces of anti-colonialism from Vietnam, from Kenya, Congo, Palestine, Egypt, Algeria, Cuba, and many other places, forging in himself the personification of leadership and continuing to inspire many others, developing a no sellout approach, no interest in colonial careerism, but actually smashing down all the sellouts and that which produces them, the colonial system itself. Today, when our young people are searching for role models, one could do no better than Malcolm X, a great figure of a man, a liberator of our people. Please engage with this wonderful human being.
What I heard there, Nick, colonial careerism, that stuck out to me because that feels like what's happening now. And I do want to give us an honorary shout out to Marcus Garvey, because do you think Malcolm X is radical? Get to Marcus Garvey with some of his speeches. But go ahead if you're gonna chime in on that last video about the colonial careerism. Isn't that what progressives are kind of doing? Because this is a colonial power, and they're about being careerism in that government of a colonial power.
Yeah, that's
so
what
it's relatable, not exactly.
Yeah, that's what the progressives are doing. That's what black mayors are doing when they sell our community out to the police state and real estate development companies. Cori Bush sold people out to weapon manufacturers with her support of the Ukraine war. Ilhan Omar is hated by her community now. She's loved by the Nancy Pelosi class, but she hated among the Somalis that she used to organize with, that she came and grew up in community with, because she sold out the Somali people to United States imperialism. It's a long-standing tradition of these sock dems and people who want to integrate in the establishment. It's almost like their biggest criticism is that they're not running the asylum. They're not running the prisons. They're not running the military themselves. Instead of the principles and the crimes and being connected with the people who are actually in charge with mass casualties, deaths, and destructions. I read a poll that shows 75% of both Black and Latinos feel their water is poisoned. They don't have any confidence in drinking water. That large part of our military that was dumping toxic waste in Black communities, Latino communities. There was a big Navy spill near indigenous Hawaii land as well, in that poisoned a ton of water over there. It's a long-standing tradition of them destroying our environment, destroying our communities. But people like Cori Bush, Ilhan Omar, Eric Adams, Hakeem Jeffries, the list goes on and on. People, they lock arms with these people. And Malcolm X made sure he spent a lot of time calling that out. But I'll pass it back to you, CJ.
Yeah, I just want to read this because Malcolm X is what he's popularly known as, but his actual name is Malik El Shabazz. El Hajj is more like of a title. So El Hajj Malik El Shabazz is better known to the world as Malcolm X. In honor of Malcolm X Day, take a moment to reflect on his life and legacy. Take a moment to read and share a piece I pinned titled Malcolm X, the Black Messiah. And the link here, I'll put this link in our description box for those that want to go and read some of this reference, just to brush up on Malcolm X. Like I said, he's one of my favorites. I'll play this last little clip, and then we can close out this Malcolm X birthday segment and get to the rest of our segments here. But this is a good clip to kind of close, talking about a couple of different things.
We don't want to be equal with the white man. He's not the criteria or yardstick by which equality is measured. He's not in a position to tell us we are equal. It's not his right. It's not his to do. We had equality before the white man was created. We had equality before the white man came into existence. And we want equality whether the white man is on this earth or not. Equality means the opportunity to develop all of our dormant potential, all of our dormant capability. And in developing this dormant capability, the right and the ability to stand on this earth on some land of our own and bring about a civilization and a society in which we will be completely independent, complete freedom to take care of the needs, to take care of the wants and the likes and the dislikes of our people, to establish our own nation, our own society, our own heaven, our own future. This is what we mean by freedom, by equality. And justice means as you sow, so shall you reap. If you do wrong, you'll get wrong in return. And if you do right, you'll get right in return. When you're in your own nation, in your own land, you're in a position to get justice. But when you're in another man's country, in another man's land, under another man's flag, and under another man's government, and under another man's court system, you have to look to that other man for justice, and you'll never get it.
So I know you had some more clips. I shouldn't have said that to close it out. I know you might have some more receipts. Go ahead, Nick. That was my last.
Last thing I want to say, because I can play clips on Malcolm X all day. I was arguing and always have loud disagreements because I will never run. I actually enjoy political sparring because I believe I'm right. Because especially you get these black liberals, black capitalists. They would never call themselves that, but that's what they are. The black people that complain about immigrants that we were talking about, for example. How many clips have you guys seen of Malcolm X complaining about immigrants? Don't worry, I'll wait. How many have you seen? Have you seen any clips of that? But somehow there's these wave of foundational black Americans, of people who forgot what black nationalism actually is, and they allow that to be co-opted by right-wing ideology. And now they start hating immigrants because they actually want to be an oppressor themselves. Oh, guys, I will never give them an inch. I will never, because I
noticed they always have American flags too. I'm
gonna show you guys what Malcolm X said about capitalism. A lot of these people are openly capitalist. Like I pointed out a few times, and we had some laughs on Twitter about it. Like there was one black guy on Twitter that was like, "How can you be so focused on immigrants and hurting the black community?" Blah blah blah. You go to this fucking profile, and it said free markets in his profile. I'm not gonna highlight it for you guys. I don't want you guys to pick on them, but I picked on them in the thread. I'm like, bro, you literally a fucking capitalist. Shut the fuck up. What did our leaders say about capitalism? What did Malcolm X say about capitalism? What would MLK say about capitalism? You guys believe you knew more than these people. You believe you're smarter than these people because these are who we learn from. This is what Malcolm X said. You can't operate a capitalistic system unless you are voltairistic. You have to have someone else's blood to suck to be a capitalist. You show me a capitalist, I'll show you a bloodsucker. So if you want them black capitalists complain about immigrants because you want to continue to take advantage of black labor, you are a bloodsucker. And that's what I was calling them. I'm using Malcolm X language. Don't tell police me. You are a bloodsucker. And I'm not going to allow people to hijack black radical thought and turn to anti-immigrant bullshit. Because that's what it is. It's avoiding our true oppressors. He cannot be anything but a bloodsucker if he's going to be a capitalist. You are a bloodsucker. I know my enemies. My enemy is not the immigrant. My enemy are the capitalist class. And Malcolm X and Fred Hampton knew it as well.